it. All right. It was the first weekend that the tourists were gone, or most of them. The ones with kids were all gone, and so it was a little quieter, and Matthias had gotten stir-crazy or something. That night, Friday night, he was jacked up, buzzing. He was just waiting to pop off, like there was something living underneath his skin, looking for a way out, and he kept bitching about the heat. Cass, she was the same way about the heat, but that's because she didn't want to sweat. She had to stay just right. She always looked like a whore when she put on makeup. Didn't understand how to do anything subtle, you know? Always a lot where a little would do. I know. I'm not supposed to say anything mean about her because she's dead, but it's just the truth. Oh, let me back up. I was working the day shift at the liquor store. I was off at 6, and Cass was walking over to meet me, and then we were just going to go into town or whatever. Maybe back to her trailer, just hang out. We didn't really have a plan. If we'd had anywhere to go, we wouldn't have ended up with him that night. But we were free. Matthias came in at, I want to say it was 5:30? A little before quitting time for me. I've known him for years, but we never dated or anything. We didn't really hang out even. So I was surprised when he asked what I was doing that night. I never knew Matthias to party much. He was always working, it seemed like. If you saw him drinking, it was in the winter. In the summer, he was like 20 hours a day working. I told him Cass and I were supposed to go out to the bars, and he seemed kind of disappointed. And for a moment there, I wondered if he actually was hitting on me. But then he just shifted gears when Cass showed up. He was telling us about this client's house he had access to. Some rich bitch who used the place only 2 weeks a year or something. But it was a real special spot. He wanted to go out there and drink and swim. I was kind of interested. But then he said he knew he could get a score too, and that put me off because I'd been trying to get clean. But Cass was all about it. We went out into the parking lot because I'd finished my shift. We drank some booze out there. I think it was like a 6-pack of twisted tea and a couple 40s of beer. And Cass had some vodka. One of the flavored kinds, apple or raspberry or something. We sat on the tailgate of his truck and smoked cigarettes and drank. Oh, this was his work truck, not the one we were in when we killed them. Mostly we were talking about the heat. That's why I remember that it seemed to bother him. Because he was looking up at the sun and talking about it like it was personal. As if the sun had come up hot that day, looking only for him. Like somebody picking a fight. We chilled for a little while, and then he said he had a good place to party and that he'd made a score, and he'd share it if I gave him a ride back to his truck. I was like, "You're sitting on your truck, genius." But he said the truck he wanted was at a client's house, so he needed a ride out there. You know, he's a caretaker, so he has all these summer houses he's always working on. Now, I hadn't done much all summer but drink. Maybe a little weed, but that was about it. I mean, I guess a few pills. But nothing serious because, you know, people kept dying last summer, even before Cass. It was all over the news. There was bad heroin somebody brought up from Washington, D.C. A black guy, I think. Or maybe he was Mexican. But I know it was from D.C. because people kept calling it that. It was moving around like a fever that summer. People were dying without even ODing because of what it was cut with. Some chemical thing I never really understood. I just knew it was bad shit and people were dying. More people that single summer than had died in Maine the entire year before from drugs, I think. Maybe that's not a fact, but it's what I heard. So, like I said, I was trying to get clean. But if Cass and Matthias left together, it would have been just me, right? Just me and a friggin' 6-pack of twisted tea on a Friday night. Who wants that? So I just, you know how it goes. You give in. You never think anything bad is going to happen. I said I'd go along, but I didn't want to do any drugs. And Matthias...